What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Alchemical Life podcast. If you don't know me, I'm Abigail Crow. I'm a strength coach. I specialize in helping runners build strength that translates to performance. I've coached like 6 years now. Clients from ages 8 to 80, everyday athletes to NFL players or guys who are currently playing in the NFL. My mission's pretty simple. It's just help you get stronger, faster, forever through smart training. So, that being said, comment, subscribe to my YouTube. That doesn't even correlate to that being said, but yeah, comment, subscribe to the YouTube. Um, Helps out my podcast, helps me get fired up to continue making these podcasts. Is there anyone out there? And if you're listening to this, if you're listening to the lovely sound of my voice, go ahead and pause this for a brief moment. Leave a review. If you leave a review, make it 5 stars, because why not? Today, we are going to be talking about, all right, I'm lifting, Abigail, but I'm still getting hurt. WTF. And this is something that ties in really closely with the common myths that I hear about strength training, which is lifting will hurt me. And the thing is it is a myth, but it's also not a myth, because lifting weights can actually make things worse. It can make you worse at running. And that's where the rub is with getting runners to strength train is, so how can I lift in a way that doesn't make me feel worse? How is this gonna, I want to be better, right? I need to lift so that I can run better, not so that I can be sore all the time, hurting, in pain, dealing with some kind of injury from the weight room that keeps me from running. What do I do? Well, there are going to be some things that we take a look at. And the first thing that I want all of my lovely runners that are listening to this podcast right now, and just if you're cross training in general, whatever sport, pay attention to, observe what does your fueling and what does your sleep look like? Okay, nutrition and sleep. These are the foundations to which any athletic house is built on. And if you're underfueling, not fueling properly, or not sleeping well, not sleeping enough, not sleeping at really honestly consistent times, then you are likely subjecting yourself to not just not progressing, but also potentially injury, pain, and frustration. Lots of frustration. Also, I'm drinking a tea. It's 3 in the afternoon, and I'm just in the mood for a good old-fashioned tea. I made an Abigail-style London fog, and, it's not as good as a traditional London fog, but it shall do. It's a great little 3 p.m. pick-me-up. So, anyways, back to what I was talking about. Speaking of fueling, back to what I was talking about. What is your fueling and what does your sleep look like? Are you sleeping 8 hours a night? Are you sleeping at least 7 hours a night? I think that it's hard to get a full 8 hours, especially since I actually track my sleep. I have my Oura ring, and so I track my sleep and all my sleep metrics. And I'd say even when I'm laying down, and I give myself a solid 8 to 8.5 hours to really be in bed asleep, I'm really only asleep for like 7.5 of those hours. But I'd say if you give yourself a solid 8 to just be asleep, then you're going to end up getting about 7 to 7.5. How do we make those hours quality hours? Make sure you have a wind down routine. Make sure we have lower lights. We're not watching TV right before bed. We're not watching shit on our phone right before bed. We're not having some kind of high stress conversation, TV show, podcast on right before bed. You're getting yourself to a place where you can calm down so that when you go to wind down, your overall latency, your time from laying in bed to falling asleep is lower. And I think it's not necessarily possible to have all perfect conditions, especially if you are a mom or a dad, or you're just a really busy person and you work until late. Like I work until late. I know parents, it's like they feel like they're just throwing their kids into bed and it's like high adrenaline and whatever. And then finally they're like, okay, now it's time for me to go to sleep. There's no way that, I'm going to be calm going to bed. Having even just 10 minutes of a chill, finally getting the kids to bed, being able to sit and do some kind of meditation routine or journal or just dim the lights and do some breath work, or have a moment with your spouse, or have some wind down tea, have some chamomile tea, things like that. For me, if I'm working until late on my computer, I try to have my computer on the red light. I'll put my blue light blockers on. I'm usually drinking some kind of nighttime tea. I have my magnesium, and those don't just help me actually like physiologically get more tired, but it also puts me in the rhythm of time for bed. It's kind of my nightly routine, and so when I have those things, my body is telling me wind down. I definitely don't have any bright lights on before I go to sleep. I only have low lights, like very warm lamps, or my Himalayan salt lamps, because I'm a hippie like that. And it really does make a huge difference. I mean, sleep duration makes a huge, and quality makes a huge difference. Last week, I noticed it when the first half of last week, I was not getting good quality sleep, and it really, really messed me up for my recovery in my training sessions and the rest of my week, my training sessions. So first, let's look at that. It also, lack of sleep, again, I mean, coming back to I'm getting hurt. You're not going to recover as well, and that could set you up for failure in following training sessions, and that could also hurt you, especially to just quality of the lifts and quality of the training sessions in and of itself, beside recovery, might be worse. And so you could be subjecting yourself to getting hurt, because if you have poor quality in your lifts, which we'll get into later, that's another thing, then you might feel or experience some pain in your lifting. So are you sleeping properly enough? That's one thing. Are you fueling? These are going to move faster. This is just like the fueling and the sleep are so important that I just need to spend a little bit of time on them. I think selfishly, I would like to take, strength training is really helpful. Strength training is great to do. I think it's very important. It's fundamental to a runner and their success is doing some form of strength training to supplement with their running. I think it is very, very, very important. I think it's just important for overall quality of life, longevity, aside from running. It's just a good thing to do. It is not the end all be all, and fueling and sleep have far greater of an impact in terms of quality of life than lifting does. Okay, so oftentimes when my clients come in, it's both relieving because it takes some of the burden off of me responsibility wise, but also frustrating because whenever my clients come in and they're just having an off week, or they might come in a little bit more achy than usual, I'm usually looking at, if they hadn't reported their numbers to me already, I'm inquiring about what they were eating, how they were sleeping, that kind of data. And almost always, it's I underfueled, I underslept, I didn't sleep well, had a really high stress week. Almost always you'll correlate with some kind of pain. So obviously, there are things that we can do to help in the training room to just, do as much, or help out as much as possible. But fueling, sleep, super important. Okay, because also fueling and sleep help with stress, which help with overall help reducing inflammation, recovery. Okay, anyways, fueling. Are you consuming enough? Are we having carbohydrates before our training session? Are we having carbohydrates and protein in between our training sessions? If you are running, if you're doing the structure that I like, which if you do not know what the kind of training structure I recommend as a runner, then listen back to my previous episodes. Like, hop off this right now and go listen to some of my other episodes, because I detail how to structure your training week. It's like a few episodes down. Just check it out. It's important. It's helpful. So if you are doing a training session in the structure that I recommend, which is you have your hard run, you have a meal and some rest in between, and then you have your lift, what is that meal in between? What are we consuming? It probably needs to be more than you think. Lots of carbs. You want to be able to have some protein. Depending on how many hours you're breaking up in between, you might want to have 2 meals with some carbs, some protein, some fat in there. But predominantly after your run, you want to be fueling with some carbohydrates and some protein, probably 20 to 30 grams of protein. Carbohydrates, depending on the training session duration, intensity, and who you are as a person, I mean, you could be fueling with anywhere from 30 post-training session to 100, 150, 200 grams of carbs post-training session. depending again on how long, how intense the training session is and what you have following. If you have a lift following, then you might again break it up with another meal, have another like 50 grams, 25 to 50 grams of carbs, and you might have some protein also before your training session. And then after you're done lifting, you want to have some more carbs and protein. I would say before the training session, if you're breaking up with 2 meals, having some carbs, protein post run, and then before your lift, having some carbohydrates. That would be what I would hammer in getting the most. So, and then also you want to look at fueling quality. Are we fueling around our training sessions? And then what is the quality of what we're fueling with? Are we just eating like gummy bears all the time? I understand that, candy is a real thing to help you fuel, and it is great to do when you're trying to break down glucose very quickly in the body, excuse me. But I think that it's really important that during your other meals, you're having actual nutrient-dense foods. We're eating vegetables. We are eating proteins, animal-based proteins if you are an animal-based consumer, if you're an animal consumer, if you are an omnivore, the words are hard. If you're a vegan, you're eating plant-based proteins, and then also making sure that you are supplementing with carbs that have some form of fiber in them. They might be a little bit more of a complex carbohydrate. Looking at, oats, potatoes. You're looking at consuming things like, why can I only think of oats and potatoes? Rice, quinoa, there we go. I'm like, beans, lentils. I'm like, I can't think of any foods right now. I need another sip of my caffeine tea, clearly. Okay, so yeah, food quality and the amount of food you're consuming. I think runners tend to under fuel. Like most of the time, I'm worried whenever I have check-ins for my clients. I'm looking less. I'm never looking at like, oh, nutritionally I ate too much. I'm always looking at like, did I fuel enough? Did my clients fuel enough? Did they report to me, hey, I felt really great for my training sessions. Everything was good, and I felt very much I fueled properly for all of my training sessions. That's what I'm looking at more. Usually I'm not like, I think that I ate too much. I'm like, no, you probably didn't. As a runner, you're probably good. So, especially as a serious competitive runner. The next thing I'd look at is, I lift and I'm still getting hurt. What am I doing? All right, well now we're going to look into like the lifting itself. Once we've established the foundations here, let's see what's actually going on in the training session. Well, let's first look at training frequency. How many times per week are you lifting? I think if you're jumping from 0 times per week to 4 to 5 times per week lifting, you are probably setting yourself up for failure in terms of just at best experiences of burnout, boredom, not wanting to do it, and at worst actual pain, reduced progress, injury. Okay, so start with 2 times a week if you're going from nothing. Work up to like 3 times per week. If you're running more than 40 miles a week, I would really not suggest doing more than 3 days a week of training unless you are doing very, very short sessions sprinkled out throughout the week in the form of, 4 to 5 training sessions. But those should be very short. A lot of people, coaches call them like just lifting sprinkle sessions where you're doing, 15 to 20 minute little workouts where you're doing 2 to 3 exercises, some of them body weight, some of them isos, maybe, one lift has weight to it, and you're doing them, at the end of your runs after having a little bit of carbohydrates, that kind of thing. Sprinkle sessions. Those are the only time that I'd recommend training more than 4 times per week. Really, honestly, 4+ times per week. So look at your training frequency. I would start with 2 to 3, and I would kind of hang out there. And then I'm looking at overall program structure in relation to other days. This I talk about in an entire episode, so I'm not going to go in depth with it. Go listen to the other episodes. But again, keep your hard days hard, keep your easy days easy. If you are lifting on your easy days or your rest days because it's in quote just a lift, then you are potentially setting yourself up for failure. I'm going to say this a lot, like a beat it horse. All of this is potentially setting yourself up for failure, right? We're going to go through all of the causes of potentially setting yourself up for failure. And when you are stacking your intensity properly, you are keeping your hard days hard. So we have a hard run, hard lift. We keep our easy days easy. Easy run, if you have a really easy lift, it's just body weight or something, easy lift. If you have a rest day, keep it a rest day. Do not throw in your lift, a relatively challenging lift, on an easy run day, because what's happening is that is now bleeding into recovery time that you could be using to help you for your future runs, for your next hard training day. And that's when people get discouraged and they say, no, lifting hurts me, I'm sore, I don't feel good, my run is bad, I'm going into my run under recovered, and now I'm dealing with this hip pain, I'm dealing with plantar fasciitis, I'm dealing with my calf aching, whatever, okay? Because my run gait is off, I feel like shit, I'm not recovered, whatever. That's going to mess you up a lot. So make sure you're structuring your days properly. If you want more information on that, then you can do one of two things. You can listen to my previous episodes. I have several episodes on how to structure your training days. Just check them out down below. They're titled. You'll find the title. I can't think of the exact ones. I think it's like episode 25, 20 to 25, somewhere in there. And then two, also, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is in the description below, and send me a DM. You do not even need to follow me. Just send me a DM, Stronger. And if you DM me the word Stronger, I will automatically send you a guide that gives you all the detailed breakdown of how to implement strength training, how it's important, what benefits it provides you, and then also how to actually start implementing it into your training week so that you are setting yourself up for success and improved progress and improved performance down the line, and not failure. All right. So if you want more information on that, DM Stronger, all caps, and I'll send it your way. Send me a DM. You can follow me on Instagram too. I post a lot of cool shit on there. So next, we are going to look at next we are going to look at, I got very distracted for a moment, the lifts you are choosing. What exercises are you actually choosing, and in what order are you doing them? I would not do your main compound lift, barbell front squat, at the end of your training session. I do not think that is wise, because you are already generating a lot of fatigue. The point of the exercise is to generate as much strength as possible, so we want to have a lot of energy for it. And if you're doing it at the end of your session, not only are you not getting what we want out of the front squat, but you're also going to be tired, fatigued, and not feeling good, and then you're going to potentially hurt yourself. So the actual lifts you're choosing and the order matters. Now, if you are choosing lifts, a bunch of compound lifts, I'm going to do barbell front squat, and I'm going to do barbell bench press, and I'm going to do barbell bent over row, and I'm going to do a barbell, even dumbbell. I'm going to do dumbbells split squat, or no, that's unilateral. I'm being dumb. I'm going to choose dumbbell RDL, okay? I'm doing all these things bilateral, and I'm going to do them all in one training session. Then that might just be a little bit more than you need in terms of overall intensity and load and volume on the bilateral lifts that you want. It might hurt you in the long run. You will likely end up getting done with that session, again, at best just feeling pretty wrecked, and then at worst feeling really sore, hurting. Your low back might be hurting. The exercises that you choose are going to matter. So if you are confused on what kind of exercises you need to be choosing, again, you can DM me Stronger. In my Instagram, I give some tips on programming, and also too, you can check out my programs. I have 3 programs. I have a return to sport, so for somebody who is new to running or they're coming back from an injury, a return to sport program. I have a go further program, which is great for somebody who's in a building phase, and then I also have a be unstoppable program, which is great for a runner who is in the middle of their season. All of those things have all the exercises, sets, reps, video links for everything, rest periods. It's got a full modification list, so you can make things harder or easier as needed, and it also has a full cueing log, so it goes in depth in terms of the videos. Other than the video links provided, it will give you like an extended cut video of common cues I give my clients, common things I see my clients doing wrong, so that you don't have to do them wrong. So if you are interested in finding a good program for you, I'm biased, I suggest my own, but those are all available, and they're down in the description below as well. But I think the order does matter, the actual exercise selection does matter, having maybe one main lift, a couple of accessory lifts, and then before the main lift having something like some kind of isometric or a plyo. It's a great setup. That's pretty much how I set up all of my stuff for my athletes. Now, the type of plyo, the type of of compound lift, the way I'm loading the accessory lifts, and the accessory lifts I'm choosing does depend on the athlete in front of me and their season, who they are, what's going on, their history. But I would say overall that's a good structure, like great sample workout is, a split squat isometric, a barbell front squat, and then, a single leg RDL and a single arm dumbbell row and a Copenhagen plank. Great little workout right there. So I just gave you the keys to the kingdom, you guys. Next thing is going to be how you're performing them. You can do everything right and still do that wrong. You can choose everything right and set it all right and still do it wrong. This is really important. It's, again, quality over quantity. I'd much rather have somebody do 3 exercises really, really freaking well, driving the intent out of the exercise we want, than doing 6 to 8 exercises absolutely buttfuck shitty. So I want you guys to make sure that when you're doing your exercises, especially if you're using my programs and you're going through them, really watching the video links and really watching what I'm doing. Take the time, go and watch the extended cueing log videos, because all of those things really do help, and they do matter in terms of where the position is. Like you can do a single leg RDL, but if your hips aren't square, you're not loading into the glute properly, you're driving too low, then you're just going to continue to feel aches and pains. You're going to find that you'll feel it in your hamstring too much, your low back. You might not feel it in your glute like you're supposed to. So the actual exercise does demand a certain level of intent, and it's prescribed for a reason, and the position is set up for certain reasons. That's why I load things particular ways. That's why I set my clients up sometimes on weird little wedges, because I'm wanting to drive a certain amount of intent and stimulus out of the exercise. And if I'm not doing that and we're not getting that, then we've either chosen the wrong exercise or I've done a poor job at explaining to them what they need to do and how they need to move in position. So how you're performing the exercise does matter. If you are getting hurt, again, oftentimes I'm looking at, okay, this person is not doing this exercise well. And the last thing is very simple and very, very just straightforward. And it's what you're fucking doing is just hard, you guys. When you are getting to a place where you are going upwards of 60 to 70 miles per week in terms of run volume, that is just a lot on the body. I think people mistake running for, like, this is fitness and this is health. No, it's not. Just like you can lift so much that it's not necessarily healthy. You can lift in a way that is overkill. You can work out in a way in general that's overkill. You can also run in a way that is overkill. So, CrossFit, like there's a lot of people in the CrossFit space that's just like the stuff that they do is just more than is necessary. I'd say for the average healthy person just trying to live a healthy lifestyle, be pretty fit, feel good, and I mean just like optimal health, it's like 2 to 3 times a week lifting, and maybe 1 to 2 cardiovascular sessions, really though, mostly just some walks. And then eating non-processed whole foods, a couple of treats every once in a while, making sure you're hydrated, getting good sleep. Like if you're doing, and having good relationships with people, if you're doing that, like that is health. And so what you are doing as a runner, like what we're doing as runners, because I'm running more now too, is we're doing a freaking lot. You're just driving a lot of volume. You're putting a lot of stress and load on the body. And so when you're doing this across time, when you're repetitively hitting 30 to 50 mile weeks, your body is just going to start feeling it. That's why you also have, chill weeks. That's why you taper. That's why you have deloads. Like that's why you have off weeks. It's very important because to understand that sometimes you're just not going to feel good. Like sometimes you're just going to have some aches and pains. Sometimes your body's just going to be like, hey, red flag, we're going a little bit over the edge here. We're flying a little bit close to the sun. And sometimes that's just a sign for you to freaking chill the F out. You are not Superwoman. You are not Superman. You cannot actually do everything that you want. And sometimes maybe you can accomplish I believe people can accomplish absolutely incredible feats, but it's probably not without a little bit of pain, and it's not without a lot of patience. So sometimes you are just going to feel achy, and sometimes you're just going to feel in pain. And I think that's one thing that I want people to get in their head is I really take pride in the fact that, and I'm really take my job seriously in the fact that I've taken people from a place of pain to a place where they are performing really well. They're running without pain. They're running with minimal pain. They're running faster, stronger, better than they have before. They have longer training blocks than they ever have before, and that's absolutely incredible. Also, I have clients that come in and they ache. I have clients that have been where they go pay, they're doing great for 6 months. I just had a client, she got done with the marathon, and the marathon training block just absolutely wrecked her. It was a lot on her body, and she's just feeling really tight, and she's just got little nags here and there in terms of her hamstring and in her foot, and it's kind of a part of the process. I'm not saying that I can't be, like, part of it is I want to evaluate and be better as a coach so that we can avoid that at all costs. But again, strength isn't always, it's not like a miracle thing. I think it does very magical and incredible things, but it's not the ultimate lifesaver, game changer. So that being said, still give yourself time to rest and recover. I lift and I'm still getting hurt. That's another thing. Are you freaking recovering enough? Do you take your rest days as serious as you do your training days? Because if you do not take your rest days and your easy days as serious as you take your training days, you do not take your training serious. I said what I said. All right, you guys. So want more information? Go check out my previous episodes. Click my Instagram in the link in the description below. DM me stronger, or link below. Link below, link in the description for my programs. Okay, check them out. You guys are awesome. If you have any questions, obviously, please don't hesitate to put stuff in the comments. I know I say like, comment, subscribe, but really comment. If you have questions, if you have things you want to say them. Let me know. What's up? DM me on Instagram. We can get a dialogue going, a conversation going, and let me know how I can help you guys out. All right? See ya next week. Bye.